What's up? HMB Live on Facebook Live. It's Tuesday, 11 a.m. This is when we do the show every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jason Bell, and this is Chris Haddon. This is a really interesting show that we do, and I hope you really enjoy it. It's for kind of all of our followers, everyone on Facebook Live. Now, we talk about real estate, we talk about marketing, we talk about finance when we talk about business. And if this is the first time tuning in, we have a little joke. And the joke is, if we're not talking about this live on camera, either Chris is in my office or I'm in his office, and we're talking about this to ourselves. So we decided to just open it up. Yep. So it's kind of just true talk about all those particular topics. And any questions, comments you have, you'll see a little comment box below inside Facebook. Feel free to comment or ask any questions that you have.
Yeah, please do.
We stay on as long as we have to in order to answer all the questions. What we do though, is we try to keep each week a certain topic, and we try to stay on track with that topic. But if you do have a question or a topic that is not on topic, we're happy to answer that as well. So today we're talking about tech for real estate investors. Really popular topic. Think about tech software being online, being on the internet. The internet's made it so easy, so easy. There's software and tech to make things so easy for everyone right now, in order to succeed and do it just a lot quicker. And I'm still surprised that a lot of people are just not doing things the way they should be. They're either using, handwritten notes, maybe even some sort of Excel. There's a lot of software out there. There's a lot of ways to really make your life a lot easier. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are related to that. We're going to jump in. We're going to relate this to if you own a flipping company, if you're flipping properties. We're going to relate this to rentals, if you own rentals, or if you're a landlord. And we're also going to relate this to if you're a wholesaler. Now, this can be related to anything, but we felt those were kind of the three key targets that we're going to go through.
Yeah, and it's an interesting topic and in a funny one, kind of, in a certain way, because there's no one solution in real estate investing, and there's no simple blueprint of here's how you go about it technology wise. You can use something, you can use nothing, you can use a piece of paper or a whiteboard to a spreadsheet, all the way to full on $10,000 software. There's a lot of different options, and figuring out what's right for you is key. And so we're going to go through some of the possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, along the way, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below with those questions. If you want to be a special guest on the show, I'm going to put a little link on that, and you can hop in and ask your question live as well. And we can learn a little bit more to kind of hopefully help you. And like Chris said, there's no right and wrong software. This is just we're going to go over some of the softwares and some of the tech that we've used in our businesses. But it also will give you kind of a good grasp related to how you can relate it to yourself. Because especially if you're one-man operation, the last thing you want to do is have a clunky process that takes way too much time. We're all about efficiency to make things work quick. So the first one, let's jump into flipping and rehabs, if this relates to you. And we're going to go through a few different things here quickly, but we're going to talk about softwares to track leads, to analyze your profits, tracking costs, some accounting stuff, and then project management to help if you have a team, even if they're outsourced. So obviously tracking leads is important. If you are buying any type of property, you need to be considered a marketing company. You need to be marketing for deals all day long, right? So you could use a software maybe like a Podio. If you haven't messed with that already, we created a software a while back called REI360.net, which was a tracking platform for tracking deal flow. You can even use an Excel spreadsheet in order to track deals, right? Most of these things are fairly inexpensive on that, so there's no need to spend a lot of time or a hefty budget. But the important part is you need to know what's going on the marketing side, on the tracking lead flow at all times.
Yeah, I would throw in another popular one, not so much in real estate, but in the business world, is Salesforce. And so just tracking incoming leads potential properties that you can buy and where they are in the process. Like, if you submitted an offer to them or not, or if you have submitted an offer, you need to follow up, or if wherever it may be in that sales process, just knowing what's going on with your 10 or 20 or 100 leads is going to require some kind of technology, even if it's just Excel.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever, the key to this is first, what works for you, what doesn't take a lot of time, but you definitely need to spend some time up front to determine kind of what you think is your best solution. So the other thing is you need to make sure you're analyzing your deals the right way to make sure they're going to be profitable. The last thing you want to do, especially if you're a newer investor, is say, okay, I'm buying it for 100. It needs $30,000 in work. I'm going to have 15,000 in finance cost, 10,000 and this cost, 10,000 and this cost. Cool, I'm gonna make 20 grand. Let's write an offer. Slow down a little bit. Make sure you know exactly what your numbers look like, and analyze it the right way. I'm going to put a little quick link right here to a deal analyzer, a free one that Hard Money Bankers has. So you can put in all your numbers that way and it'll spit out exactly how much you're going to make, assuming that, those are your accurate numbers and you sell it for what you think you're going to sell it for. We're actually revamping that in the future to make it a little bit more interactive. That's going to be going live later this week. But anyways, you can use that in the meantime. So make sure, obviously, you understand upfront exactly what all your numbers look like. And then that backs you into having proper physical tracking of your deals. And you can either call it an accounting software, you can call it a construction management software, but these are, the deal analyzer is projected costs. In real life, the tracking costs are exactly what's going on. The income, the expenses in your business, the assets, the liabilities in your business, the exact construction costs as you're, spending them on a particular deal. Now, with flips, we use a tracking software called Sage Construction 100 or something like that. You could use QuickBooks. We don't love it. It's a little bit more clunky to set up, but it certainly works. Again, you could use Excel. We don't like it. It's not the best solution, just because it's hard to track some of those things. But the bottom line is you need to be tracking your costs in real time so you know exactly where you're at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if when you're talking about going through a job and knowing really where your numbers are, you need reports. You need to know where it's going on. And like you said, QuickBooks can do that. It might not be totally built for real estate, so you have to customize stuff a little bit and know how to do it properly, but it can do it for sure. So I would say whatever it is, whatever kind of system you might use to track job costs, potential profit, everything else, just make it something that can be onto a real professional report that's accurate.
Yeah, agreed. Cool. So next thing is, let's say you're working with a team. It's hard to flip houses as a one-man operation, and maybe you don't have employees, but you have team members, you have project managers, you have other things related to it. Why not have some sort of project management software? We use softwares like Asana or Slack or Basecamp, ways that you can integrate and communicate all in one, as well as set goals, set processes, assign tasks. Super simple ways to incorporate these softwares in your business, in order to kind of take it to the next level. And kind of as we've talked about this, I've been kind of going through my notes. And most of these things cost very little money. They really do. Some of them are recurring bills that are, up to $100 a month. Some of them are one-time fees. Some of them are absolutely free. We're talking very, very, very minimal money to have a very incorporated, business platform to really help track and maintain your business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think QuickBooks Online, which is one of the most popular business solutions out there, is probably $30 a month, something like that, if you just have one or two companies. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about affordable stuff until you get into the big built out like property management or construction management software. Anything short of that's pretty affordable in our experience.
Yeah. So the important part is, just like we talked about earlier, being online, understanding, there's no excuse of I'm not techie, I don't know how to use some of this stuff. It is very, very, very easy to learn some of this stuff, and it's so important. You got to replace yourself with some of these things. You can't just, run around with, yellow notepad and some stickies and some folders and some pens all day, you'll drive yourself absolutely crazy. That is old school. You need to incorporate new school activities in order to do this. And the best part about it is after you have some of these set up, and as you grow and you have employees, they can run point on some of these things, so you can spend time on what you want to. So just think about that. Okay, so let's jump into landlord. Let's say you're a landlord or you own rental properties. Very similar things occur in that world with tech as the flippers and the rehabbers. You obviously want to track your income and your expenses on a per property basis. You can incorporate a larger piece of software, maybe like an AppFolio or a PropertyWare, or we use a software called Yardi. Again, you can use QuickBooks. The downfall with QuickBooks is QuickBooks is kind of accounting based, and everything's based on a generic business. And the purpose of having industry accounting or industry tracking platforms is it gives you a lot more ability because they've already mapped out everything. It doesn't do anything all that crazy more than QuickBooks, but it's already kind of mapped out exactly plug and play of this is what you do when you're a landlord. This is what you do when you own rental properties. So you do need something like that. There's a lot of little transactions that happen as a landlord, as buying a rental property. You obviously have the asset and the liability of you purchase the property, maybe you take debt on that, but then you get security deposits come in, then you have rent that comes in, and you have maintenance costs that come in. So there's a lot of moving pieces and moving parts, so you really got to track that. And I can promise you, and everyone can from experience, that as soon as you get behind the 8 ball with that and you don't put the right pieces in place up front, it is so hard to remember. You can't remember a year from now when your accountant asks you a specific question of what was this cost for. You have no idea.
Yeah.
It's got to be done in real time.
Yeah. I mean, a couple things about that when we're talking about the rental portfolio is like, one, it's just a fact of life in real estate that real estate is complicated accounting wise. It's just more expensive than a regular just more complicated, a little more confusing than an income expense business like most of them out there. Because you're owning assets, you're buying and selling assets and depreciation and everything else. So it's really, really going to behoove you to have something proper. And the second thing I was going to say about rental property management software is that it does some cool stuff that'll make your life easier and your tenant's life easier, like making rent payments online. It'll have coupons that automatically go out to them and by email and everything else, reminders about water bills, stuff like that is just going to make your job as a property owner, as a landlord, much easier.
Yeah, exactly. The key point on that was, I was talking about stuff that I believe should be absolutely mandatory, but at the same time, forget that they have to happen. The next part is it's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier. Right. You just can't do it without it. So, and again, one of the parts that we overlooked a little bit on accounting stuff, we talked about accounting earlier, was like the maintenance stuff. Like what happens when somebody calls you and you need to have a process in order to get a contractor out there or to get a plumber out there or whatever the case is. You need to have some of these tech pieces in place or process in place to handle it. And also let's say you don't want to deal with any of that stuff. You could obviously outsource all that property management stuff, but let's be honest, if you're outsourcing your property management stuff to somebody else, and pretty much would recommend that if you're a smaller company, just because it's hard. It's a lot of work to do yourself, and it's hard to afford somebody to do it unless you have tons and tons of units and you have a team. So if you're outsourced to somebody, you would rely on proper reporting from them. What were my maintenance costs this month? How much money came in this month? What's my profit and loss this month? Very key things that you can look at quickly. Make sure you have detailed reporting of it. So hopefully this is catching on a little bit related to why we're kind of so passionate about this project or this topic, and making sure that you have the proper tech in place. Nobody wants to be, run around like a madman, not knowing what's going on. You're just playing defense all day, and you can't work on any of your offensive proactive tasks if you have to kind of deal with some of this stuff that software automates for you at a very little cost. So if you're just tuning in, first, thanks. We do the HMB Live show on Facebook Live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. We usually do have a topic in place that we discussed. Today we're talking about tech for real estate investors. But as we're talking, any comments, any questions, anything you have, feel free to comment below. We happy to chat or jump in anything related to real estate, marketing, finance, and biz. Those are things we talk about every day. So we did more of an open mic, so anyone can ask questions related to some of those topics. So we talked about tech for real estate for a little bit. We talked about flippers and rehabbers. We talked about landlords and rentals. And these are just a few. These are kind of like the 101 basic stuff that has to happen. Let's say you're a wholesaler. You say, well, I'm just a wholesaler. I don't even own the property. I just buy it and I sign it to somebody else. Why do I need tech? And again, if you're doing one property, maybe you can handle that. But what happens if you're doing tons and tons of properties? How can you maintain that? There's no way to do it. You need a system. You need tech. You need to use, online channels to really make your life easier. Obviously, like we talked about earlier on with the flippers and buying rentals, is the marketing side of things and having a deal tracking system, to track your lead flow. If you're a wholesaler, you need to buy that property at a darn good price. Because you don't buy it at a darn good price, you're never going to be able to get that any wholesale fee out of it, unless you can sell that. You're just not going to get a good price out of it. So you need to make sure you get it at the right price. You need to be able to market all. Your cost per lead that comes in is so powerful. So softwares like Podio, software like REI360.net that we talked about earlier, an Excel spreadsheet, Salesforce was one that Chris mentioned earlier. Whatever it is, you need to have some sort of software or some sort of process in place so you know exactly what's going on at any given time, kind of on the front end.
Yeah, so a lot of the back end stuff's going to be taken out. Like you don't have to manage a construction project using software. You don't have to do the rental thing. So you're mainly talking about upfront things. So starting with marketing, like if you're using email software, that's something else we should throw in there, both for generating leads, if that's possible, to the real estate community, but also to your buyers list too. Having a proper email system to send out your deals is an important thing for a wholesaler. Like when we get emails that are BCC'd with a deal, like, hey, buy this, there's two problems. Like one, it doesn't look terribly professional. It doesn't seem like you have a real good operation going on if you don't have an email system in place. And two, I'm pretty sure it's illegal. Pretty sure that's illegal nowadays. It's spamming. So yeah, have a proper email marketing system in place, even before you get to whatever you use next to track your deals. Like Jason said, Excel or Podio or Salesforce, whatever it may be. Yeah, get your email game in line.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to do this. And again, you just can't do it by yourself. You need this tech. You need this tech in place in order to do it the right way, or you just drive yourself crazy. So the good part about wholesalers is the accounting typically seems to be a little bit easier because there's not as many moving pieces. You're worried more about your income and expense, not necessarily like an asset and liability of actually owning a property. So something like QuickBooks, with a simple profit and loss, income expense could work a little bit cleaner. So QuickBooks may work instead of having a Yardi or a Sage or AppFolio or one of those things. So that's kind of the good news there. I mean, that being said, it's up to you if you want to break down every property with a cost and expense or an income and expense per property, or if you just want to do it as a whole. And what I mean by that is, let's say you wholesale 20 properties this year. Do you care what the costs were associated with each property, or do you just have all your costs as one breakdown as all the properties combined? I don't know if I explained that real well, but that's up to you how detailed you want to get on that. And again, going back to so the accounting side's pretty easy. And if you don't, compared to most other real estate, and again, you don't need a CPA or an accountant outsourced that's expensive to set all this stuff up for you or do this stuff for you on a regular basis. You can do this stuff yourself. And, if you give this to a CPA or an accounting firm, they're just going to have somebody in their office data entry some of this stuff anyways. So maybe you do go in there up front and have them break it down with you. And then, sorry about that. Yeah, go in there up front, have them break it down for you exactly how they want to see it, but then you do it. It's just going to be, number one, it's good that you do it because first off, it's happening in real time. Second off, you have more control, so you can jump in and kind of mastermind the right plan related to it. And also, it's just so much more cheaper. You can pay an employee in-house to do it. You can hire a virtual assistant to do it. You just have so much more control over it anyways, so you might as well do it the right way. Have them help set it up. Maybe they even train that employee on your behalf. But, there was a point that we were probably paying close to $75 an hour to have somebody doing our data entry, because that's really what it is. And after that, it was like, let's just get set up and we'll bring someone in-house to do it on our behalf. So the other thing with wholesaling is project management, right? There's a lot of moving pieces in that. So you find a deal, you market, you find a deal, you have to communicate with the sellers or the owners of the property. When you can access it, you want to show buyers, you want to get buyers inside so they can access it over and over and over and over. There's just a lot of things that have to occur. So having some sort of project management tool, like we talked about earlier, Asana or Slack or Homebase or Basecamp, I mean, something that gives you some flexibility to communicate and chat and coordinate with other parties will make your life a lot easier. So the one other side with wholesalers is, you have to find a buyer for this, and you need a market for these buyers, right? So utilize the power of a website, collect their data, their phone number, their email address, text them, email them, communicate with them. It's a lot easier than just picking up the phone and calling 100 people every time. Be like, hey, you want this property? 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 Oh, you want to go see it at 2 o'clock? Okay, cool. Oh, you want to see it at 4 o'clock? Okay, cool. You want to see it at 8 o'clock? Okay, cool. Like, you'll drive yourself absolutely crazy. Because what happens when you do all that stuff yourself, the transition works, it's awful. So what happens is you go buy a property, you put it under contract, you finally get under a project, you're like, yes, I got this property under contract. Okay, let's go get it sold. So then you order title, then you call this person, and then you're bringing this person to the house, you're bringing this person to the house, you're bringing this person to the house. The next thing you know, you're so engulfed in the transaction and you forgot to market for your next deal. So you do not have time to get your next deal under contract until you sell this property. So by putting proper tech in place, by putting project management systems in place, you'll make your life so much easier. So, any questions related to this, either on this broadcast, either on this HMB Live show or offline, you want to email us, email me, jason@hardmoneybankers.com. If you want to go find one of our other social platforms or other places that we're putting out data or putting out content, feel free to post there. But, we kind of went over a lot of what I believe is 101 stuff. Like, this is darn basic. Like, this is so darn important that you have to do this stuff if you're not already. So start with that, and any questions along the way, obviously use us as a resource.
Yeah, that is the tricky part about it, is because when you get started in real estate, just trying to do a deal or two, no one sets this up for you. No one tells you that you have to track this in the right way, whatever it may be. If you're talking about your sales process or on the back end accounting, it's just not the way real estate works. People are out there winging it and doing their best, trying to make a few bucks. So that being the case, just be smart, ask professionals for help, people who have been there before, get the right stuff in place and run it like a real company, not just like a one-off deal-making business.
Yeah, one-off deal-making business. Guess what? As soon as those deals are gone, you're gone. It's that simple. You're always chasing the next deal. You're always chasing. You don't want to be chasing the next deal. Get a good deal in the door, get tech to help you along the way so you can spend more time and just feeding the machine. You want to feed the machine of deals and deals and deals and deals and deals. And there's no need to be kind of a one-man operation. And you know what? Even if you want to be a one-man operation, that's fine. Utilize this software, utilize this tech, utilize other things to be your in-house employees. You don't need a physical person. I mean, the amount of transactions that we go through on a monthly and a yearly basis, and a lot of our other peers and a lot of other guys that we do a lot of business with, they don't have huge staffs. You don't need a huge staff if you're doing it the right way, if you're efficient and you have the right things in place. I mean, there's things in place right now that we talked about for flippers, wholesalers, and landlords that literally can cut out, hundreds of thousands of dollars in payroll fees a year, or payroll employees a year, just because you did it the right way. Like, you don't need, okay, we have a marketing guy, then we have an accounting guy, then we have this person, we have this person, this person. Oh yeah, and I'm only doing 1 or 2 deals. How am I going to afford some of that? Put some of these tech, some of these softwares in place. Do it the right way. It'll free up your time so you can spend time on what you're good at doing and what you want to do. And hopefully that's bringing in more business and kind of, fueling the machine. So just think about that. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. Again, 11 a.m. every Tuesday, we do the HMB Live show. It's on Facebook Live. Hopefully in the future, we'll incorporate some other social platforms so people can watch it on other places. But right now, it's on Facebook Live. Any questions throughout the week, feel free to reach out to us either on our Facebook channel or any platform you're watching this on, iTunes, podcast, whatever the case it is, comment. Our content manager will get all of that, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Good deal.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys found this super helpful. Again, we were talking about tech and real estate, and anything along the way, feel free to reach out. We'll be here. Thanks, guys.